Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, football fans across the nation and around the world. This is Tim May with the Tim May Show, usually featuring Clay Hall. Clay, though, is more and more taking sabbaticals. So who did I bring in to replace Clay but an Emmy Award-winning former television star here in Columbus and a former superstar for the Ohio State Buckeyes. In fact, co-defensive player of the year in 1996 before he went on to even more fame and fortune. Ryan Miller.
Man,
welcome to the Tim May Show, my man.
It is so good to see you, and I know we see each other periodically throughout the years, but man, getting a chance to be on your show, I couldn't think of a more honored position than to be here with you today. This is great.
You read that exactly the way I wrote it. I appreciate that. And by the way, stick to the script. I'm just joking. But, man, I wanted to have you in for a lot of reasons, and one of which is big-time Ohio State football player. You played back in the mid-'90s with a guy named Mike Vrabel. You remember him?
Oh, yeah. Who can forget Braves? Yeah, well, you know, what's funny is when
by the way, no, I won't interrupt you. Just keep that in mind. What's funny is, ladies and gentlemen, I'm being facetious, of course. He and Vrabel are extremely good friends, along with Luke Fickell. They started the Second and Seven Foundation, which we're going to get to a lot of the details in a moment about what y'all have done to help bring up child literacy, for one of another way of putting it, right? But helping youngsters who don't have access to books, to free books. And it's it's 1 million plus counting, right? As we speak here, y'all's program, which started way back when. We'll get to all that in a minute. But also they've maintained a major relationship, Mike Vrabel and Ryan Miller, through the years. And, all three of those guys I just mentioned played together on those mid-1990s when the Silver Bullets came of age. Is that what I'd call it? Is that the best way of putting it?
I think so. I mean, that's when, if you remember, prior to that 1996 season, Ohio State definitely had great football teams through the years. I mean, that's one thing about Ohio State.
Yeah.
They've always had good football. What changed, in my opinion, as Coach Cooper came to Columbus, he wasn't, he wasn't from the Woody coaching tree. He was an outsider per se. So he had a different perspective and a different look at where things can be maybe updated for Ohio State. And one of them was just overall speed. Okay, speed of the game.
We've never heard that before.
And well, and to this day, that's the name of the game. Making sure you got guys that can run. One of the big things that Coach Cooper did was he brought in a lot of great coaches that were on his staff, and one of which was Coach Fred Puggich. And Coach Fred Puggich, he really believed in guys flying around. Before Coach Puggich was the defensive coordinator, Coach Young was the coordinator. And he really believed that Miami, Florida back then, back in the mid-'90s, late 80s, early 90s, the way Miami, Florida played the defensive football was the way he thought Ohio State should play football.
Yeah.
So as a freshman, we watched Miami film. Like, we weren't playing Miami. We didn't have any reason they weren't in our conference. There was no reason to watch Miami film. But in the spring, we literally would watch Miami film.
Wow.
And they would tell us, we instituted a 4-3 defense, and they really wanted you to react with reckless abandon and everybody understand their kind of gap integrity for stopping the run, and just everybody fly around, play a little man coverage on the corners, and just allow for serious disruption. You got to remember, back then, offenses weren't very sophisticated. They weren't spreading you out all over the field. So with Ohio State changing philosophically, they didn't have the personnel until that 1996. And a guy by the name of Sean Springs was a corner. And another guy by the name of Ty Howard, local boy, great guy. Both of those guys are great guys. I'll never forget it. Before that 96 season, Coach Puggich and Coach Tenuta, they call us to the meeting room and they say, we're officially going to be flying around this year. We've got the best corners in the country, Ty Howard and Sean Springs. And Coach Puggich holds up a silver bullet. And he says, I want us flying around that football field with those silver helmets like a bunch of silver bullets. And that's where that was born. And from that moment forward, we played a lot of man coverage. We blitzed a lot more than we did in the past, and we flew around. And if you couldn't run, you weren't going to play with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
We had a freshman that year that could run. Andy was big to really fill that middle linebacking spot. His name was Andy Katzenmoyer.
Mm-hmm.
And between Andy, Sean, and Ty, and by the way, we had a lot of other great guys.
Oh, yeah.
But those three were like the triangle, right? The two corners on the edges and then the guy in the middle. Those three could run like nobody's business, and they allowed for the rest of us to do our thing. And the rest of us were guys like Luke Fickell and Mike Vrabel and Matt Finkus and Rob Kelly and Damon Moore,
Greg Belisari.
Antoine Winfield came in as a nickel.
Yep.
Winfield Gardnett was the other defensive lineman, but all those guys were just great guys, and we had such a great time, trying to hold every opponent out of the end zone every single game, and I thought it was kind of the beginning of what we've seen through the years of just really dynamic defensive football played for the Buckeyes.
Yeah. Y'all even held Michigan to 13 points that year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 13-9 was that game.
Yeah, 9-0, and then 13-9.
That up, yeah. We had Sean slipped on a little slant route.
Dude, don't do that, because that always gets me going. You know why it gets me going? Is because John Cooper always uses that example, and I said, Coach, but that made it 13. That made it 9-7. Y'all didn't win because you didn't score in the second half. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
that's why you didn't win that game.
And we didn't get off the field defensively.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Let's be honest with that too. It was 9-0. We did our job in the first half. The second half, we gave up that touchdown, which was a slip, but it was a slip. Yeah. Horrible turf. We gave up 2 field goals that were just extended kind of drives.
Yep.
That were clock killing drives.
Yep.
You get off the field, one of those drives, you give your offense another chance. And we didn't play great complementary football. We didn't punch the ball in when we needed to. We kicked field goals ourselves. I mean, both teams scored 3 times. We kicked 3 field goals. They kicked 2 and scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, it's football. That's the fun part about football is you can go back and kind of nitpick things. But at the end of the day, coaches, a lot of times, coaches are amazing because they always take the blame for everything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, guys got to make plays.
Third down, you got to make a play.
We got to make a play. We got to get off the field, and we didn't do that. And so
that's what happened to Ohio State's defense the last 2 games of this past season.
You're absolutely right. And they had a great defense.
Yeah.
They had a phenomenal defense. And they had a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
They got a great head coach. At the end of the day, you got to make a play. Year before, Sawyer makes an unbelievable play.
Yeah.
He makes an unbelievable. By the way, I've seen thousands of pages of playbooks on the defensive side of the ball for not just Ohio State, but other colleges, pros, all sorts of things. That play isn't in the playbook where Jack Sawyer comes off the edge, sack strip, picks up a fumble and scores. There's no play for that. So
wait.
The defense
runs by Texas' best offensive tackle on the way to do that.
So we're going to give the defensive coordinator a ton of credit when that happens.
Yeah,
but there's no play for that. So it's kind of funny how that works. But I will say this. I'm so proud of the way the guys play these days at Ohio State. Since I graduated, I mean, I'm telling you, the quality of character that these guys have at Ohio State, and you've been around enough.
Dude, I've said this, what you're going to say.
So look, fans, I get it. We all want them to win every game, and I do. But boy, am I proud of these guys.
Yeah.
These are really good human beings that are really good athletes, taught by some really good human beings that know and love football, but know and love the kids, the players. They want them to get meaningful degrees. They want them to be successful in society. They want them to go on to play in the NFL. They're just the whole thing right now. Ross Bjork's got to be tickled pink where the program is.
Yeah.
Clearly, you want to win a national championship every year. I get it.
Yeah.
But boy, I equate the program right now to like Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods. They might not win every major championship, but gosh darn it, they're there on Sunday with a chance.
Yeah.
And that's how Ohio State is every year.
Yeah. Bottom line is, like you said, I mean, those 2 great goats, you got to beat them to win it. You know what I mean? It's kind of the thing. And you look at this past year, the 2 teams that played for the national championship were the 2 teams that beat Ohio State. Just like the year before, Indiana got beat by 2 teams, Ohio State and Notre Dame, both of whom played for the national championship. That's ironic when you look at those two side by side, how that worked out, for both the Indiana and Ohio State. But I mean, that's just crazy talk. Hey, real quick, before we move on, are you also proud? Is that the right word to use of where the Big Ten has returned to in terms of 3 straight national championships. The SEC has not had a team play for the national championship since Georgia beat TCU back in 2022. The Big Ten's won 3 straight national championships. Back in your day, Michigan was a player. Yeah. Penn State was a player.
Oh, for
You're
sure.
still what I'm saying.
Oh, for sure. I'm definitely proud of where the Big Ten conference is. I don't necessarily know if the Big Ten ever really went away, though. I just think when you have a playoff, now all the teams have to play each other.
Yeah, they get a chance.
It's real.
Yeah.
I mean, look, back in the day.
That's a good point.
You'd have, your second and third team or second and third place SEC teams play your second and third place Big Ten teams, maybe in a bowl game.
Citrus Bowl.
Yeah, and it kind of mattered, but it didn't really matter. Yeah. And it was, it wasn't as important. Nowadays, you're playing a team and you're continuing to play. Literally everything rides on that game to play another game.
Yeah.
So it means a little more than going down and doing something in Orlando, Florida. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not disparaging that at all.
I'm with you.
I'm just saying. And I know that there are plenty of great Big Ten programs, and there's plenty of great SEC programs. Clearly, it's more of a fan thing to say, oh, yeah, we got them a little bit. Yeah. And it's great to carry that feather in our cap, but it's cyclical. I mean, the SEC will come back, and they will win a national championship. They've got too much pride. They've got too many talented players. They've got programs that are historical. So, but it is nice to see the last 3 years, the Big Ten having the national champion in their trophy case.
It is kind of queer how things turn, though, right? How cycles run.
It really.
I mean, with you guys, when it came to Michigan, I mean, y'all beat Michigan one time in your
94.
Yeah, you were you there 5 years? Yeah, 5. Yeah.
So I came and got redshirted in 92. We tied.
Tied, right?
And we lost in 93 up in Ann Arbor.
By the way, did y'all get one leg of the gold pants for tying?
No.
Okay, I'm just asking.
No. I know you're not. I know you're just being
facetious.
You're being you.
I'm being facetious. Yeah, go ahead.
So we tie that year, and then the next year we go up to Ann Arbor and we lose.
Right.
To a team that I felt we were better than that team that year.
Yeah.
But we didn't that particular day against that team. We didn't perform the way we should have, and we lost the game. The next year we come in and we probably don't have as good of a team, and we win that game.
Yeah.
In 94. In Ohio Stadium, Bobby Hoying dives to the end zone. Fickell has an interception. It was a really great.
Joey Galloway has a touchdown catch.
Yeah, it was really awesome. And obviously, those are the gold pants that everyone's excited about that played with me in those days. And then 95, we come back and have just this unbelievable year. Eddie George, the Heisman Trophy winner. Bobby's just leading an offense that's super dynamic with Terry Glenn and Ricky Dudley. And it was just, you had Orlando Pace.
Yeah.
It was just a really fun time to be a Buckeye. And our defense was really good too.
Oh, yeah.
And so we go up to Ann Arbor and we played a defense that wasn't necessarily sound in the running game. And we never really checked out of it. And we gave up 300 yards rushing.
What was the guy's name again?
I don't even remember his name.
Yeah. Okay.
But
because if you bring it up with Vrabel or Finkus or Fickell,
I've got
the Biaka Batuka is like saying,
I've got convenient amnesia for some of these.
Hey, real quick, I want to ask you something. So you just said something I never, because I was covering the team back then and stuff. But what did y'all get wrong that day? I mean, what do you remember about the plan? Because you would have been part of the plan of tackling the running back.
So we ran kind of a bare front, like a 6-man front. I don't know if you remember back then. We called it Ohio front, and it was Ohio cover red. This is getting into the weeds now, but
it's okay though.
But at that time, I would walk up and be kind of on the line of scrimmage, kind of come off the edge. Belisari would walk up and he would be kind of face up guarding the tight end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Belisari was our middle linebacker, so he would have been in the middle. But Kevin Johnson was the Sam. So the Sam would walk up to the tight end. I would walk up kind of where Vrabel or Finkus would have normally been. So now I'm kind of there. So you have 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. Okay.
Yeah.
So just do the math. There's 6 guys literally at the point of attack. They ran like that zone stretch play.
Right.
So you're kind of holding a a point and I'm not a 2-gap guy. I'm a 1-gap guy. So if I've got the outside gap, that means there's an inside gap that's free and your middle linebacker potentially has to get there.
Yeah.
If they are patient and run that zone blocking and the tailback kind of running side to side first until he sees a seam and then he gets up, the next person that he can get to is Rob Kelly.
Yeah.
You realize that.
Safety.
It's a safety.
Yeah.
That's not good, sound defensive scheme.
No.
And we ran that almost all day.
Yeah.
And we never checked out of it. We never really checked into if we would run base defense with a 4-man front with 3 linebackers that could read and react.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, we thought we had an advantage by running that front, and our gap responsibilities were not tightened up. We didn't have that downhill safety that we would have needed to fill some of those gaps. That person would have to make a decision and really read the play. So
that's a hesitancy right there.
Yeah. So it was clearly 7-yard clips. You saw it. It was
yeah.
And I think you can go back and look. I think I may have even led the team in tackles that day.
I think you did. Yeah.
Because it was an absolute train wreck. We're chasing this dude down like the whole game.
Yeah.
Just by alignment. So I try to teach the younger players, when you're playing this great sport of football, it's every bit mental as it is physical. And if you could understand mentally what you're trying to do, it's like a physical game of chess, right? Violent chess.
Yes.
And if we can align properly and understand where our responsibilities are, and then understand what the offense has at their disposal based upon the formation they're in, we probably have an advantage because, more athletic guys play defense.
Yes.
That's just the truth.
Yeah.
So guys on defense are going to be able to make plays if you're smart enough to get aligned properly.
Correct.
Know what you're doing. I've seen great athletes, superhuman beings, not put the time in to study the opponent, to study the game film, to understand what they're doing and what their guys next to them are doing, and they're a mess on the field.
Yeah.
But once it clicks for them, and once that light bulb goes on that they have to study the film and they have to understand the game plan, they're all world. And so I always tell those younger players, keep studying the film, keep grinding, keep understanding the base fundamentals, because we don't need you to be sideline to sideline.
Yeah.
We need you to do your 1/11th of the team. And when you wrap your brain around that and you all play to the best of your ability for the 1/11th of the team, it's unstoppable. We've built a wall, and that's what you saw for those defenses, and you still see it to this day.
Yeah. Gap sound, I think, is one way of putting what you want in a defense, but sometimes something can look gap sound on paper and not be gap sound, right?
Yeah, because what happens is a guy goes in motion.
Correct.
Right? Or they pull a tackle,
Yeah.
I remember one year we played against Wisconsin. It was probably our senior year. Played Wisconsin at home. It was a dogfight. Wisconsin had some good teams back then. People don't realize Barry Alvarez, he came to the table with some big old offensive linemen and some terribly big, tough tailbacks.
Yeah.
And so they always had a wrinkle planned for Ohio State, and they always played us tight. I think in '93 when we won the Big Ten, we tied them on a blocked field goal by Marlon Kerner up in Madison.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when they came to Columbus, they had a tackle over formation, tank formation, we would call it, right? So imagine you've got your center, you got your 2 guards, and then your 2 tackles. So that's 5 men on the line of scrimmage. Your tackles your centers in the middle, flanked by the guards, and then the tackles. Typically, a tight end will come in, and that makes three humans on the one side, 2 humans on the other side of the center. I'm trying to keep it simple, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes they'll trade the tight end, and you align based upon this general formation. Well, in 1996, that was pretty much the base formation. You might come up with 2 tight ends, and so you could look and see 3 and 3, and so it's a numbers game. These guys would come out with their tight end, but he was called a nub tight end. In other words, you'd have a center, a guard, and then a tight end.
Gotcha.
And then on the other side, you'd have the center, then the guard, then a tackle, then a tackle.
Yeah.
Well, if you're aligned wrong, which the first half against Wisconsin that year, I always went away from the tight end. Tight end typically signifies the strength of the offense. I was a weak side linebacker. Finkus and I would go away from the tight end. Vrabel and Belisari would go to the tight end. That's just the way our defense was set up.
Sure.
Wisconsin comes out with 2 tackles over, or tackle over, right? We're lined up the entire first half with me and Finkus against their 2 tackles. Okay.
Yeah.
On no planet is that a good idea or a good alignment.
No.
The problem was Finkus and Vrabel were the oldest guys in terms of experience, and Fickell. So those 3 had played so many games of football at Ohio State that as the guys from the other team would come out of the huddle, they would immediately get lined up, and we were like the fastest aligning team ever. It was so fun. The problem with that is, though, if you have a tackle over, you're misaligned.
Yeah.
And so Vrabes and Luke and Finkus, they were too pig-headed to adjust. And so they would see the tight end. They would immediately get aligned. All of a sudden, now we're out of touch. Me and Belisari would be yelling at each other. And Belisari's like, 5 yards away because he's all the way on the other side of the ball. We'd be yelling, we can't swap now because we're misaligned. And if you and I swap, then I'm with Vrabes and you're with Finkus. It's a mess.
Yeah.
So we stayed put. They leaned on us and they just got 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Old school. Now, granted, they didn't put many points on the board, but in the locker room at halftime, Belisari is hot.
Yeah.
He's not happy about this.
Yeah.
And he's mad at Vrabel and Finkus and Fickell because these guys are making the adjustment when he's kind of the captain of the defense to make the call.
Yeah.
And they're not waiting for him to make the call because they're really smart guys, by the way. Those guys are really smart and good football players.
Oh, yeah.
So they're getting lined up. And so we're getting this argument in the locker room, and Puckett loses his mind. He says, what in the world's going on here? We got the chalkboard. I'll never forget. We got the chalkboard here, and he slams against the chalkboard. Belisari, show me what we got going on. So Greg draws the tackle over formation, and Pug's like, what in the heck? Why can't this is fundamental? Why can't we get lined up? So Vrabes and Luke and Finkus, they're like, I had to tuck their tails a little bit, like, okay, guess you're right. Second half, we come up, take our time getting aligned. We got aligned properly. I'm not sure they gained a yard in the second half.
Yeah, it was pretty shut down.
Yeah, because you got Vrabel. Man, you want Vrabel against their best.
Yeah.
Our best against their best was always going to work.
Yeah.
It's always going to work.
Yeah.
But when you put their best against our not as best, it's a little painful.
It's pretty fun. That's deep. That's a deep dive into that particular game, which is interesting. I mean, now that guy's a head coach of a team that's going to play for it all on Sunday, the Super Bowl.
Well,
Vrabel,
think about the things he's seen through the years.
What if Seattle comes? What if Seattle comes out in that same formation?
Well, I tell you what. I've talked to a lot of people.
I'm just joking.
I've talked to a lot of people this week. There's not one thing, I'm convinced of it, that Seattle could come out with that Mike Vrabel is not going to have seen, have thought about, and cool, calm, and collected be able to adjust to.
Yeah.
That's the kind of coach and player he is and continues to be,
Yeah.
So I don't know what Seattle's going to try to do, but if I were Seattle, I don't think I would try to get cute. I would try to line up and do my level best at my bread and butter, dance with the lady that brought you kind of deal.
Yeah.
I think I would do that. But I think that Vrabes is going to have a couple of, little wrinkles in there for their best.
Oh.
And he will see the things that maybe are the wrinkles that are being thrown his way. So I love the chess match of football. And I think that Vrabes, he's, people talk about his performance as an athlete and his acumen as a coach with these players, but his intelligence.
Oh yeah.
His intelligence is such an underrated commodity. I mean, he's one of the brightest guys you're going to meet, talk to. I mean, guys love and play for him because he's just such a, great guy that understands the game and loves these players.
Yeah. I don't know if it was at the press conference when they had to make Fickell the interim head coach back in 2011, or it might've been right after that press conference for Urban Meyer. But you remember, this name, Pandal Savic.
Oh yeah.
And Pandal Savic was he was one of the 2 quarterbacks for the team that won the Rose Bowl for the first time for Ohio State in 1949 season, playing for Wes Fessler. And it's the first time, I can't remember when Ohio State was in it before, but that's the first victory they ever got in the Rose Bowl way back then. But of course, he was part and parcel, great friends with Jack Nicklaus and all those guys that
Ivor
started.
Young, Bob Hogue.
Yeah,
those guys. Yep.
Those guys who started the the Muirfield Village, and then the Memorial Tournament. And but I'm just kind of talking to him. I might even have the right time frame, but it was some kind of like press event. And he goes, but it was after Vrabel, so it might have been in 12. It was after Vrabel had shown up, so it would have been in 12 when they introduced Urban. And he goes, I'm telling you, Mike Vrabel is going to be a hell of a head coach someday. I'm just telling you that. He had worked for Fickell. The only guy Fickell got to hire, remember, in 2011?
Yeah.
He hired his best friend, who's, by the way, coaching again, like I like to tell everybody, he's coaching in the Super Bowl this coming Sunday. Check your local listings. And I'm just thinking, Pandal Savick, sage advice guy, right? And I'm just going, he just offered that out of nowhere almost, except for the fact that Vrabel was on the staff then and knew of him. But did you see this in Vrabel then? Did you, you played with him, you played behind him, worked with him, et cetera. In the mid-90s, did you see this coming?
Well, I don't think anybody could look at somebody and say, oh, yeah, he's going to be a successful NFL coach to take you to the Super Bowl.
I don't mean that, but did he have coach in him? Because he was kind of gruff with us, us guys in the media.
Here's what I'll say about Mike and Luke. Okay, both of these guys. They're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
They're super intelligent. They're super loyal. They love people, okay? And they want the best for everyone around them. They're leaders, they're born leaders for sure. So
tough. You left the word tough
and
out.
They're tough as nails, unrelentingly tough.
Yes.
But they're loving too. They're just great humans. So it wouldn't surprise me, whatever they were leading, to be successful, because people will buy in because they're not too big for the room. They're gonna sweep the floor before they leave. They're that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Old school, with a lot of new school kind of edge to them.
Yeah.
But I always thought when Mike and Luke and Urban were at Ohio State, I swear to you, I told many people during those brief months.
Yeah.
One day you're going to look back and you're going to be like, can you believe those three were on the staff?
Yeah.
Because those three are unbelievably, those are leaders that it's hard to have those kinds of guys all in the same room.
Yeah.
Because you only got so much oxygen in a room.
Yeah.
And they all require oxygen, but they all are just great leaders of men. And Mike and Luke clearly have gone on and done great things. A few years back, you might remember Luke won the Coach of the Year the same year that Mike won the Coach of the Year in the NFL.
NFL, yeah.
And
crazy.
I always thought that was kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
That these two guys, but honestly, if you watch them, I don't care if you're going to, when Mike's kids were playing Little League football or Little League baseball, you go to a game. He's like the nicest parent out there, right?
Yeah.
And he's just and he's great with all those kids, giving them 5 after the game. He's the guy like everybody wants to know what Mike's like. Okay, if you've got kids and you go to a game and you're watching your kid play, there's most likely either a parent or a grandparent that you're always like, man, that guy's like the nicest guy because he cares about the kids, because he gives them 5 cheers for everybody. Never really a negative guy. That's Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
He's that kind of a guy.
Yeah.
So he gets the best out of people. And Luke's the same way. So these two guys, to see them having success, clearly not surprised. And you root like crazy for them,
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the reality. We're blessed here in Columbus because you've developed guys like that, but you're also got guys like Ryan Day that have been here and they're great guys.
Yeah.
And so, we're really, really fortunate to be around some really, really good leaders through the years. And Mike Vrabel, hopefully he can just put another trophy in his trophy case. That's certainly got a lot of them. He's running out of space.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump in. I want to come back to Mike Vrabel and stuff, but I want to get into you and Vrabel and Fickell. The Hog Molly's books up here in front of us. That's a product of something you guys founded in, what was the year? 1999, 2nd and 7. Give people the genesis of the name 2nd and 7.
Yeah, so,
I know it, but let people understand the humble beginnings of this thing and where it's gone.
It's such a cool story. And, when we were in school, Ohio State didn't have a systematic approach when it came to philanthropic endeavors.
Reaching out. Yeah.
Like giving back to the community.
Yeah.
That said, Woody Hayes was unbelievably big on paying it forward.
Oh, yeah.
So our teams always had a pay it forward mentality. Larry Romanoff was one of the guys that was in charge of if somebody called the university or the football office and said, hey, can you come down to like a Boy Scout graduation or a DARE graduation or a Right to Read week or some type of, community service initiative?
Yeah.
Larry would always kind of be the person tasked with getting the Buckeyes to go out and be in the community. And it was part of who Ohio State was and continues to be, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And
enhanced it in many respects.
If anything, it's better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But back then it wasn't really systematic. But one of the things that Mike and I and Luke, we did was we went and read to kids. And we always thought, man, it's amazing how much it means to those kids when you walk through the door. I mean, honestly, it's like you're a Martian landing from outer space.
Yeah.
And the kids are looking at you and they're hugging on you and wanting autographs and they're just blown away that you're there. Mike and I and Luke were talking about it one year after we had graduated and after we had, had those years of readings. We said, man, we should keep doing that. There's no reason why we can't keep reading to kids. And only difference is, why don't, instead of just reading and going and getting a book from the principal and giving it back to the principal, why don't we come in with books that we can actually read to the kids and give them a book that they can remember the visit by. So that book is theirs forever.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids don't have books.
Yeah.
So
did y'all autograph them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'd save an autograph.
Some of those are valuable right now if they held on to them,
so
like
Mike,
baseball cards.
In classic Mike and Luke fashion, they were like, that's great, Ryan, but how are we going to pay for the books?
Yeah.
I said, why don't we do a little fundraiser? And we didn't really know anything else. So we did a football camp. And the amount of money that we raised during that first year that we did that football camp, which by the way, this year will be the 27th football camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
by the way, held where this year?
At Hilliard Weaver Middle School.
Same place. Yeah.
Yep, same place. And you've been out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. So we ended up going and we bought enough books after that first year's football camp to read to second graders at 7 schools.
Yeah.
And we were so happy. So we go to those 7 schools and we read to them with these books and we give them these books. And we said, let's do it again next year. And that first year we had maybe 40 kids came to camp. The second year, 150 people came. So we were able to go to twice the amount of schools. And then it got to the point where we had so many kids at camp and people started donating money and resources to allow for us to buy more books that we were just overwhelmed. And so we went to Ohio State and said, is there any way we can make this a departmental initiative to allow for student athletes of all sports to read to second graders and give them a book? We'll provide the books. You guys got the athletes. Let's just put them together and put them to use. I mean, it'll be a great thing for everyone. The kids will get something out of it. The student athletes will get something out of it. So Gene Smith at the time thought it was a great idea. So we started doing it. And at that point, it was just like, it started growing like wildfire. The lacrosse coach at Ohio State that year, guy by the name of Joe Bresci.
Yeah.
And so Joe Bresci, he was the best. Like he would come over and bring lacrosse sticks. Half these kids never even heard of lacrosse. And they would show them stuff. And
funny now, right?
Yeah,
but go ahead.
They were blown away.
Yeah.
They were like, wow, this is so cool. So he ends up getting hired at North Carolina. And he calls back and says, hey, can I get some of those Hog Molly books? And so sure enough, we started giving them to North Carolina. And then, so North Carolina student athletes start reading. Next thing you know, in Raleigh, if you're North Carolina's doing something, well, North Carolina State's going to do it. And so is Duke.
So is Duke.
So next thing you know, all these different schools start reading and they're asking us for more books. Well, we go out and start doing more fundraisers. And Vrabes used to bring in Teddy Bruschi and Troy Brown and these guys. And we used to do these fundraisers. And but the community, the Columbus community got behind Second and 7 like you wouldn't believe. And companies and individuals throughout this city and really throughout the country started to go online and just donate for us to continue to write and print these Hog Molly books that we give to children. Yeah. And we've given out over 1 million books in a short 26 years.
That's crazy.
We now have a book bank where people can drop off books that they don't read anymore, like children's books.
Yeah.
That we can then bring with our Hog Molly books so we can have a bigger impact for those children. They can not only get our Hog Molly books, but they also can shop for free these other books that people have donated. So we're making use out of this kind of platform that we had. And honestly, through the years, I can remember Mike and I and Luke, we would, in the off season, man, we'd talk about what are the names of these characters and what some storylines. And we wanted to talk about teamwork this year. And maybe one year we wanted to talk about patience, practice, and persistence, or whatever the case may be. We write these books, and then we would get them illustrated and give them out to kids. And it's been a really kind of been a blessing. It's continued to grow. Our huddle has grown through the years. If people wanted to learn how they can, be involved, it's pretty easy. You go to Second and Seven, all spelled out, secondand7.com. People can get involved. What's really cool, if you really want to be involved, especially because the Super Bowl is coming up with Vrabes.
Yeah.
February 7th, 2/7, City of Columbus gave us our day. It's a proclamation that it's 2/7 day, second and 7 day on 2/7. Well, the Super Bowl is right around 2/7 day.
Yeah.
So if you go online, you can pledge a dollar amount for every time there's a 2nd and 7 in the game.
Wow.
And last year we raised over $10,000 for children for books. And so, if someone wants to go online, they can certainly play along and have fun with it, knowing they're doing a great thing.
Are you surprised y'all three are still involved in it?
Well, no, because again, I think it's
you're still what I'm saying.
Y'all
have all matured.
I think that, we've all gotten a little long in the tooth, but I think we're definitely not as involved as we were when we very first started, because we've got now a staff at 2nd and 7 that is really unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we couldn't possibly do what 2nd and 7 continues to do without all of the people that actually run the program.
Right.
But, there's not one time where if 2nd and 7 needs something from me or Mike or Luke, that we all aren't all hands on deck, because it's a passion project. It's something we feel strongly about, that it's changed our life. We think it's changed the lives of a lot of student athletes. We hope that regardless of NIL, regardless of what happens in the college landscape, donating your time and energy to something like this is still always going to be valuable.
Yeah.
And so, the fact of the matter is, it's even more valuable today probably for a student athlete than it's ever been, because if you don't really, need to go out and volunteer, what's the point? But the way Ohio State does it and the way that they raise these kids at the school, it's very, very much a departmental initiative.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2nd and 7 has become a fixture. I mean, from humble beginnings, it's become a fixture, if you follow my drift. I mean, y'all are making an impact. I mean, that's kind of that was giving me goosebumps just as you were explaining, even though I know the story of the whole thing of just how just a couple of 3 guys, and I don't mean to, y'all were the original 3 amigos, as I like to call it. No Finkus in there. You remember the 3 Musketeers had that 4th guy, right? But I mean, y'all stuck with something that you, no matter what kind of, I don't know, what kind of acceptance you got or reaction you got, you stuck with something because you knew it would make a difference. You really knew that.
Yeah, we did. And I think that, again, selfishly, it really impacted my life when I went and read to a kid.
Yeah.
And I know that Mike and Luke felt the same way.
So it couldn't be, but you're thinking, well, I can't be the only one who feels like this.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, you'll have to come to a couple readings this year, but if you were to see the current student athletes, whether it's student athletes from Ohio State or, we've got student athletes from Denison or Capital or Ohio Dominican or some of the high schools.
Wherever.
Yeah. So these student athletes, you will get the goosebumps and the chills when you see them interacting, and the impact that it has on them and the impact that it has on the 2nd graders. And so I don't know. I don't think we've ever stopped and looked at what it has been in its totality. We just continue to, kind of like Mike and Luke are.
Yeah.
Every day, you just try to get better and you try to do what's best for the folks that you have around you, the sphere of influence that you have. If you can just try to do your best and make one person's life a little bit better, then it's going to be putting that day in the win column. That's the thought.
Can I ask you a dumb question just popped into my head? I told Luke Fickell, by the way, his senior year, I didn't say this to Vrabel because Vrabel in the media, we weren't, I would say we were tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Fickell, I told him, I said, I'm telling you what, man, I don't know what you're going to end up, how much of an NFL career you're going to have and stuff, but I really think you're going to be a coach down the road. I mean, I like the way he related to us, meaning he could explain things. You follow him? I mean, and the whole thing about coaching is finally teaching, and, but I never saw Vrabel read to kids and stuff. And I would think there was some interaction there. And I'm just wondering, What do you think he got out of it that's helping him even today in the terms of not everybody's the same, not every little kid's going to understand, not every little kid's going to sit there and not squirm. You know, you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. Well, I look at Mike and, his background, both parents are principals.
Yeah.
So growing up in an educator's home, inevitably you're going to have that innate ability to be able to educate others or try to get somebody to believe in something that maybe they don't even believe in, right? And so as a coach, you're a lot closer to a teacher than not, right?
Yes.
And so I always felt like Mike was a teacher and Luke, these guys were teachers, even though they were coaches. And as they got older, they just got better.
Yeah.
Because, when you're young, you're a little bit, especially, playing sports at a high level, you've got blinders on a little bit. You're just full steam ahead, full throttle, and it's go time. But, when you're close to each other, you kind of know what's in their soul, what's behind the curtain, right? And so I always felt like Mike and Luke, whenever they were done playing, they were going to have an impact on others' lives.
Interesting.
And they just decided to do it coaching. I mean, Mike could be the greatest principal if he wanted to. Luke could be the greatest teacher if he wanted to.
Yeah.
These guys could literally do that. It just so happens they love football as well. And they were able to, scratch that itch while teaching young men how to continue to be a positive influence in society. And I think that that's what they do.
When Mike was drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, they didn't know what to do with him. And he ends up going to New England with a guy named Bill Belichick who had an idea what he could do with this misfit toy. Wasn't quite the guy you wanted a defensive end all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly.
That's one of my funny analogies or stories I tell about the NFL. A lot of guys luck into guys, and then those guys make them. Like I said, I'd like to be Jesse Owens' track coach.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
But with Vrabel, but then 2 or 3 drafts later, after he ends up at New England, people are looking for the next Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
You remember all that?
I do remember all this. And I think Bill Cowher, if you remember, I think he liked Vrabel a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he loved him.
Yeah.
He just didn't run a kind of system that he couldn't figure it out.
Right. Which makes you wonder, why did he? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. But they were good enough that they weren't changing their whole defense.
Yeah, for one guy.
For a guy. And but he was valuable, so they were able to trade him to a place that they were changing defensively, and they thought it was a fit, right? And both teams benefited from that transaction for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that, things have evolved through the years. It's no different than the tight ends. Tight ends have changed significantly through the years. Yeah. But a guy like Vrabel, whether he showed up at Pittsburgh that day, whether he, got traded or not, if he would have got cut, he's the kind of guy that was going to be a journeyman regardless, because he loves the game. He works his tail off.
Yeah.
He's a really smart guy.
Yep.
He's athletic as all get out.
Check.
And everyone around him enjoys playing with him.
Yeah.
So, what do you want me to tell you?
He lifts the group.
Yeah, he's going to be on a roster for as long as you possibly can keep him on a roster.
Yeah.
And that's kind of in a nutshell what it's like. And to be honest with you, that's the game of football is the same way for him. It's like people will have him as long as they can possibly have him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a guy caught touchdown passes.
Goodness gracious. How many guys have done that?
Exactly.
How many guys have coached
defensive guys?
How many guys have coached their team that they've won Super Bowls with to a Super Bowl and won it? And nobody. He would be the first. He is more like Ditka than anybody else.
Yes.
You following me?
I'm with you 100%.
And he's got that charisma.
Yeah.
In this day and age, in the 2026 day and age, I think Ditka back then had the charisma of that era.
Yes.
And he was able to relate to kids or players, right? And to the media and to the, he was super popular.
Yeah.
In movies, cameos, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's no reason he's like that same guy.
Yes, he is.
And there's only like one of those guys on the planet.
Yeah. And the thing about it, everything has to come together for that. Number one, he was a hell of a player. Okay. So whatever comes out of his mouth, you understand what I'm saying? There's validity to whatever comes out of his mouth. It may not, in other words, as a player, you're sitting there, that guy's speaking the truth one way or the other because he's been there, done that.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, he's a hell of a teacher. Okay. So then the combo, and then he's proven himself as a leader, which I think is obvious. I mean, the best thing ever happened to him was the Tennessee Titans, that falling apart.
Yeah.
If you follow my drift, just like with Bill Belichick, the best thing ever happened to him was getting fired by Art Modell.
Well, and then taking the year.
Yes.
Taking a year
to cleanse.
To just take a deep breath, I think was probably, again, it's genius.
Yeah.
Because these coaches in this day and age, they all could benefit from a 1 year kind of step away, take a deep breath, and then jump back in. Because it's such a unbelievably unrelenting time sink grind that's emotional, it's physically taxing. You don't know what every day could, you're one phone call away from something crazy happening. And
at 2 a.m.
Yeah. And so it's a grind.
Yeah.
If you were to give a guy a year off, that next year you got a better guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
too bad they can't do that in college too.
I know it's a bummer.
It's unbelievable.
But you
in college,
think about Vrabes, he comes back.
Yeah.
He's recharged his batteries and he's ready. And he's just, the whole thing has been really, really fun to see. And during his year off, he came back and spent some time in Columbus and was at our football camp.
Yeah.
And you would have loved to just see him in there coaching these little 10-year-olds how to get in a 3-point stance and all this stuff. And here's these kids now that would have had that experience that are like, oh yeah, that was Coach Vrabel. He's now coaching the Super Bowl, but Coach Vrabel would never acted like he was better than anybody or bigger than them. He's the guy that never acts as if he's the smartest in the room, even if he is the smartest in the room.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy. And I think, again, that takes time to develop into that type of a human. I don't think Vrabes came out of the womb that way, and he certainly probably wasn't that way when we were at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And you guys knew him in the media.
He was,
but he's matured to the point where he now has taken all those life experiences and has been able to you can tell he's having a ball with it this year.
Yeah. It's funny because he came off with us guys in the media, and what just me is cocky and a little bit aloof, meaning I don't really have time for this. You know what I mean? When it came to, even when he was there as an assistant coach, when Luke hired him, it was, somebody's phone went off, in one of the first little media things. And that was a no-no, for Mike and stuff. But this is what has gotten me from watching him develop. He has developed. He has observed. He's not just, I call the old line, the old leaf floating down the creek. The leaf's just going where it's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's observed stuff along the way and become a better head coach is the best way of putting it. Remember, Wayne Gretzky was the greatest hockey player maybe of all time, at least scoring wise, right? He was not a good. No, what I'm getting to here is a lot of the guys who can do it can't really relate to guys who can't do it.
I would say most guys that can do it can't coach.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
That is the truth.
Because it's hard to tell somebody exactly what's going on in your head.
Correct.
And how your body reacts to the certain situation. It's not as easy as you think. That's why there's so few great coaches and so even fewer great coaches that were great players.
Right.
So, there's a handful of great players who go on to be great coaches.
Yeah.
There's a handful.
Yeah.
Majority of great.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Majority of great players are better off just helping out in other ways.
Yeah.
Normally, the guy that's the grinder that didn't really play a whole lot, he's normally a better coach.
Yeah. Well, look at Belichick. Look at Nick Saban. Nick Saban's about this tall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not imposing by any stretch.
Well, look.
But like Jim Tressel always said, Jim Tressel is like what, 5'8", 5'9", maybe 5, not 5'10", but I mean, he looks bigger. You know what I mean? But his presence
is there.
But
you got to remember, so Coach Tressel and some of these greats that you talked about, these guys have the ability to communicate.
Correct.
And they learned that through the years, whether it's their parents were coaches or they were backup roles on teams for years and they were just students of the game and they loved the game so much. that they were, constantly in there with the coaching and they're, talking through the game plan and whatnot. Those are the guys that ultimately they can't live without football.
Yeah.
And teaching it and talking about it and getting these guys to the next level. You see it all the time. You definitely have to have guys who have played the game to be on your staff at some level. And maybe if you've got a couple of really high profile guys, that's unbelievable. But at the end of the day, if you can't communicate,
right.
Coach Cooper used to always say, what you see is what you coach. And so if you see a team that's kind of disoriented or unorganized, a lot of times it's just the inability of the coach to get them organized and to have them out there, aligned properly. And it's a communication breakdown. You see it with Penn State this year. Penn State had a bunch of defensive guys coming back. They hired a new defensive coordinator.
What was his name? I
can't even remember his name.
Yeah, his name was Jim Knowles.
He goes over there, and nobody thinks that Jim Knowles is unintelligent human.
Yeah, he just won a national championship with Ohio State.
Smart guy, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly, their defense wasn't very good this year, stopping the run.
Right.
And with players that should be able to stop the run.
Yeah.
So just if you look at it, there was a mismatch, right? With what they had from a player personnel standpoint and then what they had from a teaching standpoint. The teacher came in, he was like a PhD.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And these kids didn't need PhD.
Right.
They needed like that probably first year college level baseline stuff.
Let's give them 201. They need 201.
Cares?
Yeah.
Because they were so athletic and talented that they could run 2.0 and look like a PhD.
Yeah.
But they're going to look like high schoolers when you make them run PhD.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Slight hesitation.
And they never corrected it. So again, it's a communication game. You can't always be the smartest guy in the room and tell everybody and think you're the smartest guy in the room. You got to be able to understand who you got, what their capabilities are, what you can honestly teach them to get that building block to the next building block to then have this multiple, this really exciting crescendo at the end of the season.
Yeah.
It felt like Penn State just never had a chance this year.
Yeah. Shoot, that streak in the middle of the season, unbelievable. I want to ask you this. What did you see? You've been around Mike a pretty good bit. What did you see was the biggest difference in him from Tennessee Titans and New England Patriots running the show? Is it a little more patience? Is it a little more understanding that everybody is not the same? Is it when you talk about surrounding yourself is who you surround yourself from a coaching standpoint, who your assistant coaches are? I would think it's all of the above in some form or fashion that's different about him now compared to, and I'm putting you on the spot because I know you're not there every game, but
here's what I'll say about that.
Yeah. By the way, did you get free tickets to the Super Bowl? I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
So here's what I would say about that. I would say there's not a whole lot different, in my opinion, Mike Vrabel this year to Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans coach, year 1 or year 2.
Interesting.
Because he's fresh this year.
Yeah.
When he came in, talk to me about Vrabes in 5 years.
Yeah.
He's going to be a different guy because it's exhausting. This is a taxing deal. He's not going to look the same in year 5 as he is year 1. And remember, he just took a year off. So he looks amazing right now.
Yeah.
He looked amazing when he started at Tennessee. It's exhausting. Now, I think that everything he's got going on in New England is set up for success for a longer period of time than maybe at Tennessee.
Yeah.
But I also know it's a taxing situation that over time, it's like anything in life. I mean, the first time you wrote an article for the Dispatch years ago, you brought the kind of passion and energy and effort that was definitely different than the very, very last article that you wrote, even though in your mind, you're like, I really want to write a great article.
Yeah.
I 100% will tell you were different because of all the things that it takes over time. And
wait, let me interrupt you. First one I covered the Walnut Ridge Whitehall football game at Walnut Ridge. Okay. Now, I had been the sports editor of the Lufkin News back in Texas for 3 years and stuff. So,
okay, but hold on. Time out. But you were pumped. But you were pumped. I'm sure you were pumped.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I was.
You probably brought some energy to that article, that nobody else would have brought.
I was outside the Dispatch when they put them in the
grabbing. Can't wait to see your name there. Yeah,
put a quarter in and pull out 8. Wait, let me finish.
And you didn't do that for the last one.
Oh, the last one, or the last story I wrote for the Columbus Dispatch covering Ohio State football. I'm sitting in the parking lot, the upper parking lot at Pepperdine University in Malibu, because that's a place I found a long time ago. And I've got my computer and it's on battery power. And I'm looking at the Pacific Ocean in Malibu. And that's where I'm writing my last story on Ohio State football for the Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, so it's different.
So I was already checked out. My first grandson had just been born earlier that day. And, no, you're right.
It doesn't make it any worse. It's just life. It's called human nature.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how long Mike will coach or how long,
But you can see he's been imbued with
without a doubt
fervor. I mean,
hey, look, if he still has the same kind of passion and energy that he has this year, each year he will just continue to coach because he's an amazing coach.
Yeah.
And I think he would have stayed with Tennessee had all the different things been similar to what they are today.
Yeah.
But all the different things are not the same. So, there's a lot of variables that go into being a head coach of a football team.
Yeah. Plus, to be honest with you, I think the Derrick Henry, when you what's the word on commit to like a Derrick Henry kind of offense, you follow my drift.
Yeah.
I mean, John Harbaugh, just got let go by the Baltimore Ravens. Now he's the head coach in New York Giants. But you understand what I'm saying? It kind of
it's more than Derrick Henry.
I know,
but a lot more to go on.
But boy, oh boy, when you're, and your quarterback plays extremely well for a couple of years and he doesn't. You know what I mean? And there all these things that are going on. I mean, it's just all these things can change. You may not have changed. Your fervor may be as good as it was, but the pieces aren't aligning like they should with that roster.
Well, and look, at the end of the day, when you have success in sports, good fortune smiles on you a little bit.
Yes.
And nobody wants to talk about that. But the truth of the matter is there is
Jack Sawyer off the edge. Go ahead.
Yeah. There's an element of uncertainty that is always going to be uncertain.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to sports.
Yeah.
Even Indiana's magical run this year, if you go back and look at some of the plays throughout the year, even that catch against Penn State, which was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Iowa. That goes a different way, right? That goes a different way. Ohio State playing them the way they played them, that was an out-of-body kind of experience.
Yeah.
They didn't really play that way.
3rd and 1, and that happens. Yeah, yeah.
And so things have to align, and it's not as easy to just, it's not a linear formula.
Yes.
So it's not A plus B equals C. That's not what sports is. There's so many other factors that come into it. And one of the biggest factors when you get to that rare air is good fortune. And
yep, you're exactly right.
I'm hopeful that the good fortune smiles on the Patriots, when they play Seattle.
When the elite meet the elite, something's got to give.
Something's got to give. I mean, Vrabel used to always say this when he was playing, when they won those Super Bowls. He used to always say, it is so crazy how one play makes a difference in every one of these games.
Yeah.
And every one of these games. And think about how many games he's been involved with in the NFL, whether he was a player or a coach. And to live that way, that every game, one play hangs in the balance of the difference in the outcome of that game.
The elite in college football, same with that.
Yeah. So like you are talking about a just rare air scenario. And when you hear the fans out there acting as if it is so easy to figure out, it's borderline absurd.
Yes. Just throw it deep.
So, but it's fun to hear all the fans talking about it.
Yeah.
It's obviously more fun when your teams are doing well. When Ohio State's winning, it's obviously fun. When Mike and the Patriots are winning, it's obviously a joy. But win, and it's not just it's an absolute win because you can't win them all.
Yeah.
When they lose, it's hurtful because they put so much time and energy and effort into it. It hurts a lot more for those guys and those coaches than any fan out there.
I just think about that all the time, man. Training camp, before training camp, the OTAs, but let's put it in college football, the off season with Mickey Marotti right now. You know what I mean? And just off season. I mean, they're working their butts off.
They're galvanizing their team for this next year's run, and they're doing all the things they're supposed to do.
And then when it falls short, I mean, I've talked to Maradi about this a couple of times. I mean, just when it falls short, you got to find some way then the next year to a month later to sell them on. Well, this is the little changes we're going to make, and you know what I mean. And you don't know if it's going to make the difference or not, but you gotta evolve with the times and change it. I will tell you this, Mike Vrabel, when I analyze what has gotten them to the Super Bowl and what has gotten him to the Super Bowl, it comes down to one word: May. Drake May. Now he added an E to the end of his name, but I mean, from here to eternity,
he's been special.
Vrabel and May.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a coinky dink.
No, well, that's the most important position on the field.
I'm just trying to insert myself into the conversation.
And if you can somehow get some productivity out of that position, look, the AFC Championship game, one quarterback had a turnover that was catastrophic.
Yeah.
And one didn't.
Bingo.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Now,
sometimes you have it in the beginning of a game.
Both coordinators had phenomenal game plans.
Yes.
Both called really good games in that condition.
Yeah.
Both head coaches had their teams prepared and were ready to roll. Good fortune smiled on one and not on the other. And that was the game.
Pittsburgh Steelers against the Baltimore Ravens. Pittsburgh Steelers. Ravens missed the field goal. I can't remember at the end. And they're acting like they won the lottery. Yeah. Mike Tomlin's fired up, right? Because they make the playoffs and the Ravens don't. A week and a half later, John Harbaugh's fired. Mike Tomlin, they lose first round of the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers, et cetera. Mike Tomlin decides to step away. I mean.
Well, that's a whole nother thing. We could talk for hours about.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
it's crazy.
The turnover at the coaching position, whether it's at the college level or at the pro level, has gotten to be interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
Because I've always felt like
epidemic.
I've always felt like these teams, if you're going to give them a chance to be in that rare air scenario for good fortune to possibly smile on them, I believe the best way to get there is continuity of care.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a revolving door.
That's a good line.
At the lead positions.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to understand how you're going to truly have a chance. I mean, you may luck into something.
Yeah.
But, it would be like, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods changing their swing coach every year.
Yeah.
Or their caddy every year. Now, Tiger did change a little bit.
Yeah. And he kind of got lost a little bit occasionally.
Yeah. You probably need some continuity of care.
Yeah.
And then all of those hard times, you're all in it together.
Yeah.
And you all get through it and you all battle more and it just works. So I don't know. I think there's something to be said with that. It'll be interesting to see these next few years, what happens in the NFL with all these new coaches in the college game, what happens there.
Yeah.
Some coaches just knee-jerk reaction or some universities knee-jerk reaction got rid of some coaches this year.
Yeah.
A few coaches survived the knee-jerk reactions.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see if there's any correlation between what I'm talking about.
Yeah. The knee-jerk reactions, if there are too many of them, it dilutes the pool.
Yeah, the pool, you don't have any
for
pool
that great guy you're going to go after to make the difference. I mean, Indiana hiring Kurt Cignetti was like Ohio State hiring Jim Tressel. When you really analyze it.
Well, and think about, the revisionist history. I mean, you and I were in TV and radio.
We were at the Yelkin.
Yeah. When Coach Tressel was one of the candidates.
Well, yeah.
Everybody wanted Glenn Mason.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. People were not happy with the hire.
And by
the way, when he came to town and he was phenomenal with everybody.
Oh yeah. He thought he had the job.
And it was crazy. And they went with Coach Tressel, which by the way, was the greatest hire maybe in the history of Ohio State football.
Talk about a timing.
Yeah.
Talk about what's the secret to success timing.
I mean, look, the reality is Ohio State has had continuity of care at the coach.
Yeah.
They had Woody forever. Earl Bruce was an extension of Woody, so that counts at the same era, right? You had Woody through Earl is the same person.
Yes.
You have John Cooper for 13 years.
Yeah.
Right? You have Tress then for like 10
10
years. Then you have Urban for 7+ years.
Yeah.
Now you've got Ryan Day.
7.
Hopefully as long as he can be here.
Yeah.
Anything strike you as different than every other university?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like they've got a handful of coaches in the last 60 years. That's the difference.
Which scared to, if you really give a damn about Ohio State football, I'm talking about this past
when people
a year ago,
that was silliness
about getting rid of Ryan Day. I'm going, you have no idea what's really happening, except when the movers and shakers start to like sort of shake a little bit. Everybody listens. A Ross Bjork or whomever. You have to listen to the money people. You know what I mean?
And that's where we're at with college sports. You got to listen a little bit.
Yeah, that's what happened to him at Texas A&M. Those guys wanted to give Jimbo Fisher an extension. They did. Then he screws up 2 years later, and those same people wanted to get rid of him.
Well, I think Ross Bjork learned a lot from them. From that situation. I think he's the perfect guy for the job today.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you know him.
100%.
I don't know how much you know him or how well you know him, but here's a guy that comes in and literally everything we're talking about, we're preaching to the choir for him.
Yeah.
He's on our team on this. Okay.
Yeah.
He truly loves Ohio State. He loves all of our sports. He wants all of those student athletes to be meaningful contributors to society.
Yeah.
He also, though, understands the new landscape that we're in and is going to do his level best to be the best at that landscape.
Yeah.
So I think we have got a really good AD. We've got great coaches. We've got great student athletes. It's an unbelievably exciting time to be a Buckeye for sure.
What would bother me, though, about all ADs now is their job it was always this way, but it's so much more this way, is fundraising in some form or fashion that they have to devote unbelievable time and effort to. I mean, NIL, obviously the revenue sharing aspect of things, they have to be just continually. I'm not saying you go around with your hand out, but you do.
Yeah, but you
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But here's what I would say about that. Ohio State with their fundraising.
Figuratively, yeah.
Because you have to fundraise.
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing if Ohio State's out there fundraising and they're not giving you something that's valuable in return.
Yeah.
And here's what I would say. I'm not just talking about wins and losses. I'm talking about the kind of kids and the kind of coaches that Ohio State has.
Yeah.
So if I'm donating to Ohio State, I am so proud of who they have, what human beings they have over there, led by Ross Bjork, right? So the return on my investment is to ensure that they continue to have great human beings there, because great human beings create great things.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to have great things when you have great human beings involved in that program. And it takes a lot of money to do that. And that's why they are good at their job of raising a lot of money. But it's not like they're raising a lot of money and then just, not good stewards of the dollar. They're not out there doing a good job of, talking with the donors and making sure that they understand what's going on. They're obviously continuing to build each and every one of their sports programs to where they are cream of the crop in their respective sport.
Yeah.
So I think it's at a good place. It's hard to believe when I came to school, which was forever ago, I thought we were at a great place. I mean, it's light years better.
Oh, yeah.
It's light years. It's unbelievable. And I thought it was unbelievable back then.
Yeah.
But it's hard to even put in words where it is today and where it keeps going. So you got some good human beings over there right now. And hopefully they just stay there.
I think the Younkin's still at the same place.
The Younkin.
That's an inside joke.
When that was built.
Inside joke, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, real quick. Mike Bellotti became Andy Geiger, sort of like, hey, I told Jim Trussell the second day of the search, he was going to get the job unless somebody came out of left field, that just blew you away. And you remember you, me, and Drew Yowsey were sitting outside. We were up on that hill, that little knoll outside NetJets on the east side of NetJets. And Drew Yowsey had that lens that could see a fly on a donkey's rear end, from 500 yards. And we're staking out Mike Bellotti about to leave. Yeah. And then I finally went in. You remember this? I went on a mission. I went into NetJets and I just walked in the front door. Is that what it's still called? Was it NetJets then?
Yeah.
I walked in the front door and I said, there was a receptionist there. I said, she goes, may I help you? I go, yeah, I was trying to get in touch with I think it was a passenger here, one of your passengers, customers. His name is Mike Bellotti. I was wondering if I think he might be in the waiting room in the back. And she goes, well, let me check. And so I went and sat down in the little lobby, like 4 or 5 minutes later, this guy's hand had to be that big. I mean, this dude, he was about 6'6", 6'7", and I feel this hand go down on my left shoulder. And I looked up and he goes, "Are you Mr. May?" And I go, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Tim May?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "From the Columbus Dispatch?" And I go, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "You have to leave." And he all but picked me up by my shoulder, which is hard to do, by the way, and walked me out the door. But, so I went by the receptionist. I said, "Well, you got to give me A for effort." And she just kind of put her head down, but you and I had some interesting times then as you were climbing the ladder to become an Emmy award-winning.
You know what's funny
TV dude.
I remember, I loved doing TV and radio. I had such a great time, and I really got a chance to meet some amazing people, you being one of them. But you were always just great to me. I mean, you'd been around the block a little bit. I was cutting my teeth. I was trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And you weren't the guy that was going to be like, "Oh, you know more than everybody," or, you've been around the block.
Yeah.
You were literally helpful for me. You would help me understand different things or where to be. And, a lot of the guys, and that's why I love Columbus so much. I felt like there was a lot of guys in the media back then.
They're still here.
That were like that. That were just good guys.
Yeah. Moose, Paul Spahn.
Man. So Moose and Dom and all those guys. I mean, Jay Crawford was one of the guys that really was super, super helpful.
Even Clay Hall. I mean,
Clay was amazing. I know that, Skip Mossick was always fun.
Yeah.
There was just so many good dudes. And honestly, looking back at those times and seeing how you guys, because I wasn't part of the media just yet, how you guys acted towards the players. And then when I got a chance to kind of go over and work a little bit on the media side, seeing how you guys continued to work the way in which I always felt like you were first class. And then, but you never know, you never know how someone is. And then you get to go and see what they're like in their office setting. And these guys were great, great guys too.
Yeah.
And so those are the heydays back then.
Oh, yeah.
In the dispatch days, we would take those planes and different things. Man, we had some great times. But again, the Wolves hired some really good people.
Yeah.
And you guys had some really good products out there.
And they backed us, man. I mean, John F. Wolf's one of the great human beings I've ever met, God rest his soul. Last thing, I can't finish this without asking you one thing I've always asked guys of your era. Man, if the college football playoff had been around in 96, Florida gets that national championship instead of you guys, right? Even they got a second shot at Florida State, which is baloney, when you think about it. If Steve Spurrier, they erect a statue to him down in Florida. It's their first ever national championship. Urban's won two for him. I don't think he has a statue yet. But my point is, which team would you have taken if you had one of those teams, 90, let's say when you first got there, probably not 92, 93 was coming on.
93 was a really good team.
94 had Corey Stringer at right tackle and freshman Orlando Pace at left tackle. I always told Eddie George, if Corey had stuck around for his senior year, dude, in 95, he might have rushed for 3,000 yards. You might not have thrown a pass.
Yeah, well, I had a cup of coffee with the New York Jets after I graduated.
Yeah. And
I can promise you, I did not go against tackles that were Orlando Pace and Corey Stringer.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
But anyway,
which one of those teams through 96? Because 96 came together, man.
Yeah. I would say
one game.
I would say 93, 95, 96. All three of those teams would have been in the playoff and had a chance to win it all.
Yeah.
I think 95 or 96 would have won it all had they been in the playoff.
Yeah.
And the reason those two teams would have, they were older, a lot more seniors, just lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
And very eerily similar to last year's team.
Yeah.
Like I remember thinking to myself before we got to the playoffs last year, we lost to Michigan, and I thought to myself, I would give anything if I was one of those players to be able to play in the shoe one more time, especially a senior.
Yeah.
And they got it. They got another chance.
Crazy.
What do you think you would do? Ask any former player if you had a chance to play one more game in Ohio Stadium after you lost to Michigan, they would give everything they have. Yeah. All their chips would be in on the table. So I definitely think that 95, 96, both of those teams, because the way we ended, we would have wanted to right the ship. Clearly the senior class, the 96 class would have been a tough out for anybody.
Yeah.
Down the stretch in the playoff. But hey, it is what it is. I always tell people all the time, they always ask me, what about NIL and transfer, blah, blah, blah. Hey, this is a whole new era. I know the era that I had a chance to play in, and it was unlike anything else that I could possibly imagine. I'm so grateful that I was able to, proud of everything we've done. It changed my life in ways that, that you can't put a dollar tag on or a price tag on. So I don't begrudge these guys for getting things that they're getting now. I'm happy. I'm super happy for them, but I'm not looking to try to figure out how I could get something for what I did. They keep giving to me.
Yeah.
And it's been phenomenal, and it's fun to watch. I know this, and I'm sure my teammates can say this. We haven't made a tackle or scored a touchdown in 30 years, but when you go to bed at night before these big games that Ohio State plays, you're not thinking about cheering in the stands. You're still dreaming about making plays. That's how these old athletes are.
Yeah. And
those dreams never go away, even though you can't play anymore.
Yeah. Just like that Robin Williams movie with Kurt Russell, where they got to play that, where Robin Williams would drop that. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know how you. I was going to end on that because that was a great ending, but I didn't want to throw that. I mean, how do you replace? It's like race car drivers. I've gotten to know Bobby Rahal extremely well and stuff, and all of a sudden there comes that day when either you decide or somebody else decides you're not doing this anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you replace going 225 miles an hour into turn one at Indianapolis? There's nothing in life that is close to that. You understand? I mean,
yeah, I totally understand. So I would say
football,
this.
you got to have 22 guys out there in a stadium to play football in the real sense.
Well, you can't replace that ever.
Yeah.
There's this book I'm reading right now. It's called Strength to Strength. It talks about, through your life, when you're younger, you develop a career or you have success on the football field, whatever it is, you're success.
Yeah.
And that's your strength. But we all get older. And the key is, how do you take that strength that you had or have in those moments and transition it to this strength for the rest of your life? I mean, Jack Perk used to always say, Woody Hayes did more after he turned 50 than he did before he turned 50.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of the story, success, this kind of strength to strength. But for former football players, you never, ever, ever scratch that itch because it's just so unique. I will say this, though. You have to figure out a way to dream new dreams, figure out new things. My wife and my kids are my football team. And it's like the most amazing thing ever. Yeah. Like I used to think, everything was amazing, but I look back at it pre-wife and pre-kids, and that was like living in a black and white theater. And now I'm in full color. Yeah. And so you just got to dream new dreams and think of new ways of looking at life. Be proud of all the stuff that you've had. Use that to your advantage going forward. But man, the days ahead are so much more exciting. Yeah. You live out the windshield, not the rear view. So like you take that stuff that you've gone through, whether it's good or bad, and you got to channel it to figure out where you're going to be in the future. And my hope is for people out there that they can dream new dreams and go after it, because we all have a vital role to play in this whole thing. Yeah. And amazing, you're from Allen Park, Michigan. Y'all lived in North Carolina for a while your wife was in residency, becoming extremely successful at what she does. Now she works for Cleveland Clinic. But the bottom line is you guys are in Columbus again. You're in Upper Arlington. I see you at the airport. I'm headed for the Cotton Bowl. You're headed for Florida for a basketball tournament. Yeah. Or for your kids, whatever. I'm just going, it's life does move on, in that sense. And by the way, what are you doing right now, by the way? Besides talking to me. Yeah, besides talking to you and really helping 2nd and 7 as the chairman of the board there. Yeah. But M2 Marketing is my business. Yeah. Megan McCabe, who played basketball at Ohio State, has been my partner for 22 years. And we've built websites for just a number of different businesses across the country. One of our first, big clients was CoachTressel.com. You probably remember that years ago. Yeah. But through the years, most organizations that are larger in nature need a more robust website that can actually do some different functions. So the functionality of a website is very, very important. And we have web engineers that can actually code things that maybe you can't get off the shelf. Yeah. So nowadays, kids that are going to school for programming and they're doing different, web architecture, A lot of it's baseline level stuff, which is great for small businesses. But once you start to need a little more functionality, that's where firms like M2 Marketing come into the equation. And we build those. We've been building those for, like I said, 22 years. I mean, we do the Memorial Tournament site. We do the Arnold Sports Classic site, all of the M3S running sports sites. We do a number of sites through the Ohio State University. So, we've done a lot of different things. And again, it's like the complex problems that keep people up at night that they'd love to be able to have on their website. We are able to kind of understand where their workflow is and how we can build the website to function properly for that organization.
Yeah, customized, but off the shelf, but customized.
Yeah, so we definitely have learned so much through the years. When we first started, man, talk about a lifelong learner. You have to be a lifelong learner in this world because things weren't even invented when we started this.
Yeah,
and shoot, 5 years from now, there will be things that we're using that weren't invented today.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep, and it's fun. It keeps you fresh, keeps you on your toes.
Right. You're about the cosmopolitan guys I've ever run into from Ohio State football in that sense. I mean, you've got your MBA. I mean, you were just right on down the line. I mean, it's when it came to that moment to choose back in 91, 92, who was your second choice?
So I actually wanted to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the time, I had never been to Columbus. I'd been down to a few Notre Dame games. And Coach Cooper had me come down. It was the same visit that Luke was on, same visit that Lorenzo Styles was on, Corey Stringer was on, Rob Kelly. And back then, you didn't have the internet and whatnot. You had like an old publication that came in the mail and said, this is the Midwest best football player.
Yeah, Bill Kurlick had one of those.
Bill Kurlick, yeah. And so you had you would see these names, so you knew those names.
Yeah.
And guys from Pennsylvania, Ohio, and you just knew these Midwestern guys, Michigan, and we were all in a room in Damon's on Old Tansy River Road. You remember the old days. And people out there remember it was a place for ribs, right?
Yeah.
And so we're in that room, and Coach Cooper says, I got all you guys in the room here today because I want all of you to be Buckeyes, and I want us to win the Rose Bowl. Back then, you didn't have, we just winning the Rose Bowl was the thing. So we got you in here because I believe in my heart this group of guys can win the Rose Bowl. Corey Stringer, I want you to stand up. He was as big as this room.
Yeah.
And he says, we got to have you, man. You're the best player in the state of Ohio. Will you be a Buckeye? And he says, Coach, I'd love to be a Buckeye. And the place starts cheering. He says, Lorenzo Styles, stand up. And he starts going around the room. And
putting you on the spot.
Everyone is saying yes. Other coaches didn't do this.
Yeah.
Other coaches called you in the office and just said, what do you think? And you'd say, hey, I'll call you tomorrow, but I'm thinking it's looking good.
Yeah.
And then you go talk about it and give them a call in a few days.
Like a timeshare.
Yeah. But this was different. So they're finally coming around. And I remember driving down to Columbus, talking to my mom and dad, thinking, what's the pros and cons about going to like these different places? And Ohio State wasn't really as high on the list as maybe some of the other places.
Right.
And Notre Dame, of course. And, so we weren't even thinking about it, really. And we were just going to tell Coach, hey, Coop, when we come back after the visit, we were just going to go home and think about it and call you. But he's doing this going around the room, and everyone's saying yes. Luke says yes. Rob says yes. Lorenzo says yes. Corey says yes. Now he comes over, Ryan, stand up. And I stand up. I look over at my dad, and my dad just looks at me and goes, so he got caught up in it. So I say, yeah, I'm going to be a Buckeye. And he says, we got one from Michigan. And people start cheering.
Oh, man.
We get in the car, and my mom says to my dad, Dennis, what just happened in there? And my dad looks at her and says, I don't know, but we better find a bookstore so we can get some Ohio State gear. That's the way it went. We've been buying Ohio State gear ever since.
Allen Park, Michigan to Ohio State. And it's funny how many of you guys end up back here after having chances to go elsewhere.
Hey, that's fun too. Columbus is such a great town. It's a big little town, right?
Yes.
And
best way of putting it.
So you got so many great people through the years. I was so fortunate to see so many former players that lived here in town, that came to our practices, that really helped mentor, really helped be involved in our lives. Truly good guys. Ike Kelly, John Hicks.
Yeah.
These guys are like salt of the earth guy. John Hicks used to coach Luke Fickell's little league team. I know. It's that kind of stuff. And so I grew up around all these guys. And so to think that, here I am, 51 years old, I'm kind of like the old guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember when when Jeff Logan came in and spoke to our team, and you're thinking, oh, that's an older guy, but he's not that old.
No.
Looking back at it, but all these different guys are just such great guys. They're still here in the community. A lot of my former teammates, we still get together. A lot of them still read for 2nd and 7, come to our events. So it's definitely been a blessing. Aside from being married and having kids, going to Ohio State and playing football has been the next best thing.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's Ryan Miller. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Actually, for joining me, I guess. Clay's not here.
Tell Clay I said hi.
I will tell Clay you said hi.
Just don't tell him where I'm at.
I'll just tell him to watch the whole thing so he can hear you say hi at the very end of it. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been a blast. I know y'all been paying attention. We could go on for another 4 hours. We used to do that at the Younkin while we were waiting for one coach or another to walk through. I won't tell you what euphemism I came up with for while we were at the Younkin, but you can imagine.
You kind of figure it out.
Correct.
Saying it, yeah.
Correct. That's kind of the same, whatever. But for Ryan Miller, I'm Tim May. Thank you very much for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you then. Shh. By the way, Clay has left the room. I wanted to let you folks in on a real bargain out there in the world of simulator golf. The Back Nine Golf, which is located at 2820 Fishinger Road in Upper Arlington, has a hell of a holiday box available to you right now. The value is nearly $300, but your price is $150 if you jump online. That's almost 50% off if you jump online at Columbus at theback9golf.com. That's their email address. Their website is theback9golf.com/Columbus-upper-Arlington-OH/ That's a long address, but just write it down a couple times watching it. And you can also call them at 614-362-7888, parentheses, PUTT, PUTT. But the bottom line is one of the new ultra modern simulators that you can find in the greater Columbus area. And it's really right there in the middle of Upper Arlington. I know Tito Thidoff and I hopped in there the other day. I think it was 16 degrees outside. There was snow and ice everywhere. And we played Pebble Beach. And we did it in less than an hour. So it's one of the great bargains going out there. And with this holiday box, you get 1 month of Birdie membership. You get Back Nine branded golf balls. You get cozy Back Nine beanie, and you get premium Back Nine towel. So that's a hell of a deal because basically it's unlimited golf. It's 24/7. You get a code to get you in the door, and then you can go from there. And it's definitely fun. It's the premises are pristine. I know we had a great time. We even played closest to the hole, a few shots on number 7, famed number 7 short par 3 at Pebble Beach the other day, and had a great time doing it. So if you're looking for that last minute gift for a golfer that you love, or yourself that you love, that you're a golfer, nothing wrong with giving yourself a gift at this time of the year. That's the Back Nine Golf holiday box. And it's only a limited time, and as you can imagine, there are only a few available. Quantities are tight. So check in at theback9golf.com.